Hello and welcome! Today we're diving headfirst into the incredible world of short stories. And look, these aren't just things you read to pass the time. They are these potent, concentrated little bursts of storytelling that can hit you with an emotional punch you will not forget. I've picked out 10 absolute masterpieces that I think every reader really needs to experience. So, let's get right into it.
And that's really the magic of it, isn't it? A novel can take days, even weeks, to build its world. But a truly great short story, it can flip a switch in your brain in just a few minutes. And yet, the feeling, the idea, it can stick with you for years. It's such a unique and powerful art form.
So, why pure? Well, think about it. There are no wasted words. There's no room for fluff. Every single sentence, every little detail has to earn its place, all of it building towards one single powerful moment. It's all about creating the biggest possible impact with incredible efficiency.
Okay, so to really dig into these 10 classics, we've grouped them into a few themes. We're going to start by peering into the dark corners of the mind. From there, we'll look at stories that shine a light on the cracks in our society. Then we'll feel the weight of the heart with tales of love and sacrifice. And finally, we'll talk about why these stories are such a powerful window straight into the human soul.
All right, our first stop takes us deep into the human psyche. You know, the messy parts. These are stories about guilt, about madness, and the kinds of obsessions that can push a person right to the very edge.
You know, we have to start with the master himself, Edgar Allan Poe. The Telltale Heart is just a masterclass in psychological tension. The whole time, the narrator is trying to convince you and himself that he's totally sane, all while describing something completely mad. The genius of it is that you're not just reading about him. You feel like you are trapped inside his unraveling mind, feeling that paranoia grow, hearing that relentless, thumping heart.
Next up is the yellow wallpaper. And wow, this one uses a similar creepy vibe to make a huge social statement. A woman is prescribed a rest cure for anxiety, which basically meant being locked in a room and told not to think or create anything. Her slow descent into madness, all focused on the bizarre patterns in the wallpaper, becomes this terrifying metaphor for the way women's voices and intellect were literally dismissed and silenced. It is absolutely haunting.
Now, if you only know Roald Dahl from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you are in for a serious shock. Lamb to the Slaughter is just deliciously dark and so wickedly funny. A housewife who seems totally devoted commits the perfect crime with a, let's say, very unusual weapon. Dahl is a genius because he somehow makes you root for her, and that final scene with the police officers, it's one of the cleverest, most macabre little twists you will ever read.
All right, moving on from the purely psychological, our next group of stories holds a mirror up to the world we live in. These are sharp, clever critiques that expose the flaws in our traditions, our values, and the very structure of society.
Shirley Jackson's The Lottery is infamous for a very good reason. It starts out so peacefully. It's a beautiful summer day, people in a small town are gathering, everyone's friendly. And that cheerful, normal tone is what makes the slow reveal of what the lottery actually is so completely and utterly bone-chilling. The story just forces you to ask, what traditions do we follow blindly, and how many of them are just as senseless or just as cruel?
Oh, the necklace. This is a gut punch of a story about pride. It follows a woman who is desperate to look wealthy for just one night, so she borrows what she thinks is a diamond necklace. When she loses it, she and her husband throw away the next 10 years of their lives, working themselves to the bone to pay for a replacement. And the final line, oh man, it delivers one of the most devastating, ironic twists in all of literature.
And now for some absolutely brilliant satire from the one and only Vonnegut. So in the world of Harrison Bergeron, everybody is finally equal. But how do they achieve this? By handicapping anyone who has an advantage. If you're beautiful, you have to wear an ugly mask. If you're strong, you're literally weighed down with scrap metal. And if you're smart, you have these piercing radio noises blasted into your ear every few seconds to shatter your thoughts. It's a sharp, funny, and honestly kind of frightening look at the danger of chasing mediocrity.
Okay, after all that darkness and social critique, let's come back into the light a little bit. Our final gallery of stories is all about the good stuff. These are tales that explore humanity's incredible capacity for deep love, for unexpected kindness, and for profound sacrifice.
You've probably heard of The Gift of the Magi. It's that timeless Christmas story with a message that hits home any day of the year.
You have this young, poor couple, Della and Jim. Each one wants to buy the other a perfect gift. So she sells her single most prized possession, her magnificent hair, to buy a chain for his prized watch. At the exact same time, he sells his watch to buy beautiful combs for her hair. It's this beautiful, tragic irony. They're left with gifts they can't use, but what they find in that shared sacrifice is so much more valuable.
This story by the great Langston Hughes is it's just beautiful in its simplicity. A young boy tries to snatch the purse of a woman named Mrs. Luella Bates Washington Jones. But instead of calling the cops, she grabs him, drags him back to her apartment, makes him wash his face, and then shares her dinner with him. It's such a short, powerful encounter, and it's a perfect reminder that sometimes a single moment of dignity and compassion can change a person's life way more than any punishment ever could.
Don't let the fairy tale vibe of Oscar Wilde's The Happy Prince fool you. This story carries a heavy, very adult message. A statue of a prince, covered in gold and jewels, stands overlooking a city. From his perch, he can see all the suffering of the poor. So he befriends a little swallow and asks him to peel off all his gold and jewels, piece by piece, and deliver them to those in need. It's a heartbreakingly beautiful story about true empathy and a sharp critique of a society that lets such extreme wealth and poverty live side by side.
So we've gone from madness to morality, from satire to sacrifice. So why do these short little pieces of writing matter so much? What's the big deal? Well, it's because in just a handful of pages, they give us a direct, unfiltered window straight into the human soul. They take these huge, complex life experiences and distill them down to their absolute essence. They cut right to the chase. They aren't just about what happens next, they're about revealing some fundamental truth about what it really means to be one of us. And just think about the sheer range we've covered. In a single afternoon of reading, you can witness profound human weakness and then incredible strength. You can see crushing injustice and find a little glimmer of hope. You can confront tragedy and wrestle with morality. You get love, you get fear, you even get a little dark laughter. It's the entire spectrum of human experience, served up in its most concentrated form. And that's the bottom line. The investment of your time is so small, maybe 10, 15 minutes. But the return, the emotional and intellectual payoff is immense. These are the kinds of stories that will burrow into your memory and just stay there, quietly shaping how you see the world long after you've read that final sentence. So really, the only question left is, which of these windows are you going to look through first? Whether you start with the chilling heartbeat under the floorboards or the beautiful sacrifice of a Christmas gift, you're about to find out just how massive a story can feel, no matter how small the page count. Go on, pick one. Happy reading!